Hi friends, what better way to end the year than to recap everything I made in 2024. I'm Joanne, a sustainable designer. I make sewing content as well as run a small handmade business. So my recap is mostly my business stuff, but I was able to sprinkle in some personal items in between. So let's just jump right in. I started off the year with a new design. It was a sleeping bag puffer jacket. I made it out of 2 different sleeping bags. This is something that I was requested of a pattern, so if that's something you're interested, please leave a comment below, and hopefully that's something I'll bring out in the new year. Then I made my first batch of bedspread jackets. I started off by making myself one. Since I had leftover material from last year's jacket, I was able to make this red one for myself. And you know, I like to replenish my stash of clothing and wear to events and shows, and just to wear it out is nice. People ask me about it, so it's something I could point to my business. It's a way to promote and also just have a cool new jacket for my wardrobe. After that, I made 2 of each color of the baby blue one and this like yellow gold one, and those are for my shop, so I was able to bust those out after I made my sample. So by this time it's around February and Valentine's Day was around the corner, so for my shop I wanted to do a little Valentine's Day drop. I made 3 vintage towel halter tops that lace up in the back in red, and then I also made 2 pink ones as well. I also had my first in-person market lined up. It's called Makeshift Muse, and it was in San Luis Obispo. I wanted to make a batch of upcycled Afghan cardigans. I made 3 cropped ones, and then I made a grandpa style for myself. Since I didn't own this style, I thought I'd keep one from that batch, so I ended up keeping this one. I might let go of it depending. I don't wear it as much as I would hoped to have worn it. Maybe I'll end up selling this one, but for now it's kind of part of my wardrobe. So after I did my in-person market, I ended up making a pair of jeans for my shop since someone ordered it, and then I ended up making the rest of my bedspread jackets because I had 2 other colorways I wanted to make, the orange one and the blue and green one, and I made 2 of each color, and I actually ended up keeping one of the blue and green ones because I wanted to keep one, but I just didn't know what color I wanted. So I let the jacket sell first and see what was left, and this was one of the colors that was left and ended up being one of my favorite colors from the bunch. It's super unique, very vibrant. I don't really see colors like this anymore, so I'm really happy to add this to my wardrobe. The next thing I made is not clothing, but it is for my shop, and it's this amazing change booth. I made it from PVC piping, as well as just I made the curtain myself with this linen fabric. It's super fun. It's definitely something that people stop by and look at in my booth, and that's kind of the point, right? That's kind of why I made it myself. And plus all the change booths that you could find out there are kind of ugly and doesn't really suit my style. So what better way than to custom make your own change booth? So in early March, I booked a ticket to South by Southwest in Austin. So I wanted to add some new pieces to my wardrobe. So I ended up making this really cute tablecloth midi dress with this kind of fruit print. Then I made this little cute little mini dress, button-up mini dress out of a vintage bedsheet. Although I think I might chop it and make it into a shirt because I don't really wear it as much as a mini dress because you could only wear it like summer, and I like to wear things with tights, but I don't know, tights don't really look good with this dress. I just might turn it into a shirt eventually. And then my favorite thing from this batch I made for myself are these amazing trousers. I get compliments of these all the time. The print is definitely the point here. It's made from a vintage dead stock fabric I found at a flea market. So this one's super cute, super proud of this one. Once I got back from Austin, I ended up making some towel vest tops for my shop. This style usually sells pretty well for me during this time of year, so I made a batch of those, ended up making 8, and then I made one for myself since I realized I didn't own this style. So I ended up making this one with the checkered print. So during this time, I was also prepping for another market. This was in early April and it was West Coast Craft in San Francisco. So I ended up making 2 cropped terry cloth button-ups, 2 vintage towel fanny packs, and then 6 mushroom plushies. After coming back from the market, I had another market lined up for June for Renegade San Francisco. The most of May, I ended up making 21 reversible halter tops since this is the season come summertime. These sell well, so I made 21 of those. I made 5 towel jackets and then 3 more vintage towel vests since I ran out of the first batch I made, and then ended up making 3 more cardigans and 4 vests for my shop, and then ended with another pair of jeans to wrap up May. Once I got back from my June market, I got to work on 3 more towel vest tops that I actually sent over to Shop Slow in Austin, Texas. It's a super cool shop that only carries handmade goods and supports local and just other handmade artists. I got commissioned to make these drawstring pants out of a vintage Joker bedsheet and also a pair of shorts made out of a vintage cat towel that she provided. She ended up really loving these pieces. So that was pretty much what I did for the rest of June. So once I got back from my show in June, I was pretty burnt out. So I booked a trip to New York City in mid-July. So I had some time to make myself some more clothes for my trip. The first thing I made were another pair of jeans. I mean, I wear these pair of jeans all the time, so they're super broken in, kind of faded, so I wanted a new pair, but I made it a little different. I made it with rainbow stitching this time. It's very subtle, but I still really like it, and I get tons of compliments, and it's a style that I continue to sell in my shop, so this was important for me to make another pair. And then I made a vintage towel halter top because I know it's really hot during this time, so I wanted to add one of these. And then I made a little cropped denim shrug to layer on top of all of my summery items, and ended up using some of the scraps to do some patches in the front here. Then I made this cropped pants out of this kind of bold stripe pattern. I really tend to like bold print patterns for pants for some reason, but I get tons of compliments on these. I think I got actually stopped on the subway wearing these one of the days in New York City. And then to round out all the clothes I made for my trip was this midi bedspread dress. Although it was kind of thick for that time of year, I think this dress would do better in fall winter. So like right now, paired with this turtleneck, it would actually pair really well, but still, nonetheless, still super cute and something I added to my wardrobe this year. So when I got back from New York City, I was pretty still kind of burnt out and I wanted to ease back into things. So I worked on a personal project. August is my birthday month. So I ended up making a new design for my birthday outfit and ended up making this really cute girly puff sleeve midi dress. It's made out of a vintage bed sheet, as well as I used vintage rickrack trim for the front. So this was a fun little cute little project to ease back into things, ease back into work. So ended up making this for my birthday. And then I had a made to order towel vest top drop, so ended up making 3 tops in the beginning and then 1 for my shop, and then took a little break, made a couple cardigans because I knew fall and winter was coming, so made 2 cardigans in between. I got another order of the vintage towel vest top, so I made 1 for that, and then also tacked on 2 more just to have for my shop. So ended up wrapping up August with those. By this time, the towel stuff was winding down, so I wanted to ramp up more fall winter stuff since I knew that I was gonna do some holiday markets. So I ended up making 4 grandpa style cardigans, 3 cropped ones, and 2 vests. And also during this time, I was working on my first digital pattern release. I ended up making this fall romper and I had to do a test run. So this was my first test run of the romper. Super cute, made out of a dead stock vintage fabric. And then for the actual tutorial I filmed, I made this one, made from dead stock vintage fabric. And if you're interested in making this yourself, I'll link the pattern below. In between working on my first digital pattern, I wanted to go to this event called Daybreakers. It's basically a dance party early in the morning to break the day. It's kind of a nice, wholesome activity, and their theme this year was purple because they wanted to encourage people to vote. So I made myself this purple dress out of vintage dead stock fabric. It's kind of semi-sheer and it's kind of a combination of a few designs I had, so it didn't take too long to make, so I ended up making this to add to my wardrobe. And then by this time Halloween was approaching and I wanted to make myself a costume this year since I skipped the year before. I wanted to make something that translates outside of Halloween. So I made this kind of modern clown outfit. It's a jumpsuit and the bottoms are these kind of trouser pinstripe, and then I upcycled a dress for the top, and then I had this organza lying around in my stash. It still ended up kind of looking like a costume, but you know, I could make it work outside of it. So I'm super proud of this super fun project that I did for Halloween this year. So by this time, I got accepted to 2 really big holiday markets. It's Renegade Craft and West Coast Craft in Los Angeles. So I knew I had to make a bunch of stuff for that. So I ended up making these vintage towel fanny packs. They're super cute. I ended up making around 17 of them, and they were super popular the year before. I documented the whole process of me setting up my booth and making the inventory, and you can watch that video here. I'll link it here. Now that my holiday market season is over, I decided to book myself a trip to Nashville. I'm actually leaving tomorrow, and I needed a toiletry bag to pack all my toiletries, so I ended up making these vintage towel dop kits. It's something I made last year and kind of ended up running out of time this year to make for my shop, but I wanted to make some for me to take to my trip. I just made 2 of the colors because I couldn't decide what color I wanted. These always come in handy, so I'm okay with having 2 of them. Hopefully I'll get to make these next year for my shop, but I kind of ran out of time this year, so just ended up making these for my trip tomorrow. I know that it's a little chillier in Nashville, so I ended up making this beautiful coat. It's made out of vintage wool houndstooth, super cute, and I just finished it this week. So this is what it looks like on. I'm super proud of it. It's fitted really well, although it's not as warm as I thought it would be, but that's okay. I'll layer it, and especially with like a turtleneck and scarf on, I'll be fine. But something I added to my wardrobe, and it's probably the last thing I'll make this year, since once I get back, it's only gonna be like a week and then it's New Year, so probably won't end up making anything else this year. So this is the last project of the year, super proud of it. So these are all the things I made in 2024. I ended up making 20 personal items and 116 items for my business for a whopping total of 136 items. When I reflect on that, that's a lot. I mean, judging by the amount of times I went hard and took a break, I really need to make this more sustainable for myself. So hopefully in the new year, I'll concentrate more on digital patterns and kind of lessening the amount of things I make for my shop, only concentrating on like the top sellers, learning a lot from all the things I made this year, but it is a labor of love, and I really want to continue to do this because I love what I do, but at the same time, I really need to make it sustainable for myself. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope this was inspirational. I hope to see you guys next year, so please subscribe if you want more sewing content and behind the scenes of running a small handmade business. If you want to see what I'm currently making, please say hi to me on my socials, as well as visit my website if you want unique fashion and links to my digital pattern. Happy early New Year, and I hope to see you guys soon. Bye.